Imagine this. One man, frail and barefoot, spinning a wheel of cotton on the dusty floor of an ashram. Another man, bearded and radiant, seated in a throne-like chair, speaking to thousands of seekers, dressed in red. One preached poverty, the other preached abundance. One preached celibacy, the other preached celebration. One was called the father of the nation, the other the rebel of the spirit. Both from India, both born on the same soil, both shaping the world in opposite ways. This is the clash of Mahatma Gandhi and Bhagwan Sri Rajni, later known as Osho. India is a land of contradiction. It gave birth to Buddha, who renounced the world, and Krishna, who danced through it with joy. It gave birth to Gandhi, who told millions, live simply, embrace poverty, sacrifice. And it gave birth to Osho, who told seekers, celebrate, enjoy, drop guilt, be abundant. How could the same land produce such opposites? And what does their clash reveal about the meaning of freedom? Let's begin with Gandhi. Born in 1869, Mohandas Gandhi became the leader of India's freedom struggle against the British Empire. But his fight was not through guns or violence. It was through satyagraha, truth force, non-violent resistance. He fasted to stop riots. He spun khadi to resist British cloth. He walked barefoot to sea in the salt march. And he lived with almost nothing. A loincloth, a pair of glasses, a spinning wheel. That was Gandhi's image. For him, simplicity was purity. Poverty was holiness. Celibacy was power. Self-sacrifice was freedom. Millions followed him, not just politically, but morally. He became not only the leader of a nation, but the conscience of a people. But not everyone admired him, and no one attacked him more fiercely than Osho. Introducing Osho. Osho was born in 1931, long after Gandhi had become a legend. By the time Osho was a young man, Gandhi was already Mahatma, the great soul. But Osho saw something different. He saw not a saint, but a manipulator. Not a liberator, but a preacher of guilt. Where Gandhi preached self-denial, Osho preached self-love. Where Gandhi preached celibacy, Osho preached sexuality as divine. Where Gandhi preached poverty, Osho preached richness, not just of money, but of being. And he mocked Gandhi openly. Osho said, Gandhi was not a Mahatma, he was a masochist, addicted to self-torture. He gave Indians guilt, not freedom. For Osho, Gandhi's philosophy was anti-life. It chained people to suffering. It worshipped misery instead of joy. And so began one of the great cultural battles of modern India, not fought on streets, but in the soul. Picture the two visions side by side. In Gandhi's ashram, walking at 4 a.m. for prayer, spinning cotton for hours, eating plain food, often fasting, practicing celibacy, living with disciples, restraint, duty. In Osho's commune, dancing, laughing, meditation, therapies to release anger, fear, depression. Men and women loving freely without guilt, music, celebration, even luxury. Two ashrams, two worlds, both claiming to show the path to freedom. Over the next hour, we will explore Gandhi's vision of freedom through sacrifice, Osho's vision of freedom through authenticity. They are bitter critics of each other, their legacies in India and the world, and the question they leave for us today. What is true freedom? The freedom of discipline, or the freedom of celebration, the freedom of service, or the freedom of selfhood? By the end, you will see why Gandhi and Osho are not just two men of history, but two eternal voices inside each of us. To understand Gandhi, we must look closely at how he lived. Every morning, before sunrise, Gandhi rose at 4 a.m. He began with prayer, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, sometimes Buddhist hymns. He welcomed all faiths. Then he spun cotton at his will, the chakra. Why? Because Gandhi, spinning was more than cloth, it was resistance. Every thread of khadi cloth was a thread of freedom, woven against British imports. After that, he bathed in cold water. He ate the simplest food, goat's milk, fruit, boiled vegetables, no spices. And often, he ate nothing at all. Because Gandhi's most famous weapon was not his voice, it was his fasting body. Fasting as politics. When riots broke out between Hindus and Muslims, Gandhi would stop eating. He declared, "I would fast unto death until peace is restored." And people listened. Communities laid down arms. Leaders rushed to negotiate, because who wanted to be responsible for the death of Mahatma? To his followers, these fasts were proof of saintliness. The Mahatma was willing to die for peace. But Osho saw something else. He said Gandhi was blackmailing the nation with his hunger. His fasts were not love. They were subtle violence, using his body as a weapon of guilt. To Osho, Gandhi's fasting was not purity, it was pressure. Though married, Gandhi renounced sex in his 30s. He preached chastity as power. He believed that sexual energy could be transformed into spiritual strength. But his experiments raised eyebrows. He sometimes slept beside young women, even his grandniece, claiming to test his self-control. To his followers, this was proof of discipline. To Osho, it was hypocrisy. He said, "Repressing sex does not make you pure, it makes you sick." Gandhi was obsessed with sex because he was denying it. For Osho, Gandhi's celibacy was not spiritual mastery, it was pathology. Gandhi wore only loincloth and shawl, even when meeting kings and viceroys. Once at Buckingham Palace, a reporter asked if he felt underdressed. Gandhi replied, "The king has enough clothes for both of us." To his followers, this was humility, the Mahatma rejecting wealth, power, and status. To Osho, it was theater. He said, even his nakedness, Gandhi was showing off. Poverty became his ego trip. For Gandhi, poverty was holiness. For Osho, it was perversion, worship of misery. In Gandhi's ashram, discipline ruled. Everyone woke early. Everyone spun cotton. Everyone cleaned toilets, cooked, washed. Celibacy was encouraged. Silence was observed. Gandhi believed freedom began with self-control. If Indians could master themselves, their desires, their bodies, their consumption, they could master their nation. But Osho mocked this vision. He said, Gandhi's ashram was not freedom, it was a prison. Discipline, poverty, celibacy, these are not liberation, they are chains. Osho's ashram was the opposite, full of music, therapy, dance, love. He said, true discipline comes from joy, not repression. So here we see the first great clash. For Gandhi, poverty was purity, celibacy was power, fasting was peace, service was freedom. For Osho, poverty was disease, celibacy was repression, fasting was manipulation, service without joy was slavery. Both men spoke of freedom, but one meant freedom from desire, the other meant freedom through desire. One said, discipline yourself, the other said, celebrate yourself. And between them lies the eternal tension of India's soul. If Gandhi's ashram was silence, simplicity, and spinning wheels, Osho's commune was music, meditation, and freedom. By the 1970s, seekers from all over the world, Americans, Europeans, Japanese, Australians, began arriving in Pune, India. They wore red robes, they meditated for hours, they laughed, cried, and danced. To outsiders, it looked like chaos. To insiders, it felt like liberation. What was Osho teaching? First, he attacked guilt. He said, for centuries, religion has made you feel guilty about your body, about sex, about joy. I'm here to set you free. Second, he celebrated desire. Unlike Gandhi, who preached restraint, Osho said, don't repress, live fully, love deeply. Only then will you know meditation. Third, he embraced abundance. He told his followers, I am not against wealth. I am against greed. Wealth can create beauty, art, comfort, and joy. For Gandhi, poverty was sacred. For Osho, celebration was sacred. Nothing showed this clash more than Osho's cars. By the 1980s, at his commune in Oregon, Osho owned nearly 90 Rolls Royces. Every day, he drove one of them slowly past his disciples, who lined up to greet him. The media laughed. They called him the Rolls-Royce guru. Critics saw hypocrisy, a spiritual teacher living in luxury. But Osho smiled. He said, why should a spiritual man live in poverty? If existence gives me Rolls Royces, I will enjoy them. Poverty is not spirituality. Joy is. Can you imagine Gandhi's face seeing this? The Mahatma in his loincloth staring at Osho in a Rolls Royce, two visions of India colliding on the same road. Osho became famous or infamous for his views on sex. He said, sex is the seed, love is the flower, meditation is the fragrance. For him, sexuality was not shameful, it was sacred. In his communes, men and women were encouraged to love freely, without guilt or repression. Therapies were offered where people screamed, cried, embraced, released their traumas. To many, this was liberation. To others, it looked like decadence. Gandhi would have been horrified. The man who preached celibacy as power, watching Osho preach sex as meditation. It was a philosophical earthquake. The Oregon Experiment. In the early 1980s, Osho moved to the United States. He built a commune in Oregon called Rajneeshpuram, a city in the desert. Thousands of followers lived there. They farmed, built homes, ran restaurants, even an airport. It was an attempt to create a utopia, a new society of meditation and celebration. But conflict with local authorities grew. There were occasions of immigration fraud, power struggles, even a bioterror attack carried out by some of his followers. In 1985, Osho was arrested and reported. The media painted him as a criminal, but his followers saw him as a victim of political fear. And so the contrast stands sharper than ever. Gandhi, fasting, celibacy, poverty. Osho, feasting, love, abundance. Gandhi, khadi cloth, spinning wheels. Osho, Rolls Royces and robes. Gandhi, discipline, restraint, duty. Osho, laughter, rebellion, authenticity. Both spoke of freedom, but Gandhi's freedom was collection, the liberation of a nation through self-control. Osho's freedom was individual, the liberation of the soul through self-expression. Both offered paths, but they pointed in opposite directions. Both Gandhi and Osho died violently, though in different ways. Gandhi was assassinated in 1948, shot by a Hindu nationalist who saw him as too soft and Muslim. Osho died in 1990, weakened by illness after years of exile and controversy. But death did not end their stories. If anything, it amplified them. Gandhi became a global saint. Osho became a global scandal, and yet both became immortal. After his death, Gandhi was enshrined as the father of the nation. His face went on India's currency. His birthday became a national holiday. His teachings of nonviolence inspired leaders across the world. Martin Luther King Jr. called Gandhi the guiding light of our technique of nonviolent social change. Nelson Mandela said, Gandhi's example illuminated our path in the struggle against apartheid. From the Philippines to Eastern Europe, oppressed people studied Gandhi's methods of satyagraha, truth force, and used them to shake dictatorships. Gandhi's spinning wheel spun its way into history. But Gandhi's image was not flawless. Dalit leaders like B.R. Ambedkar accused him of preserving caste unity instead of dismantling caste oppression. His experiments in celibacy, sleeping beside young women to test his restraint, troubled many, and his economic vision, villages spinning cotton, seemed. His experiments in celibacy, sleeping beside young women to test his restraint, troubled many, and his economic vision, villages spinning cotton, seemed outdated in a modern world India racing towards technology and globalization. For some, Gandhi was a prophet. For others, a saint who preached too much suffering, too much sacrifice, too much self-denial. Osho's afterlife was different. The world remembered him not as a saint, but as a rebel, and often as a scandal. The headlines called him the sex guru. His 90 Rolls Royces became a symbol of success. His Oregon commune ended in legal battles and accusations of cult-like behavior. Critics called him dangerous. Governments barred him from entry. Even many Indians dismissed him as a fraud. And yet, his books sold millions. His meditation techniques spread worldwide. His words about freedom and love found their way into yoga studios, therapy rooms, and spiritual retreats. The paradox of Osho. Osho died branded as a criminal by some, but reborn as a spiritual icon by others. To his critics, he was indulgent, manipulative, even destructive. To his disciples, he was the most alive teacher of the 20th century, a man who freed them from shame and fear. His voice still echoes today. Search for quotes on meditation or freedom online, and Osho's words appear again and again. Like Gandhi, he is not just remembered, he is argued over. So the contrast lives on. Gandhi, canonized, sainted, enshrined on currency and textbooks. Osho, scandalized, controversial, yet discovered by seekers worldwide. One became the face of India's morality, the other became the whisper of India's rebellion. And both continued to influence the world, one in politics, the other in psychology. Now, as they stand at the end of their stories, one truth is clear. Both Gandhi and Osho spoke of freedom, but they meant completely different things. For Gandhi, freedom was collective, the liberation of a people through discipline, sacrifice, and service. For Osho, freedom was individual, the liberation of the soul through joy, authenticity, and love. Two paths, two visions, both born of India, both shaping the world. Gandhi's strength was his moral clarity. He proved that one man, armed only with truth and non-violence, could shake an empire. He gave the powerless a weapon. He showed that politics could be ethical, that leadership could be humble, that conscience could be stronger than armies. And for this, Gandhi became the Mahatma, the great soul, not just India's father, but humanity's teacher of non-violence. The strength of Osho. Osho's strength was his fearlessness. He tore away centuries of guilt and repression. He told people, "You're not here to suffer. You are here to celebrate." He redefined meditation for the modern age. He united East and West, therapy and spirituality, silence and laughter. And for this, Osho became the rebel mystic, not a father, but a liberator of the individual soul. Both men carried shadows. Gandhi is accused of manipulating through guilt, of oppressive caste, of fetishizing poverty. Osho accused of excess, of cult-like control, of scandal and indulgence. Neither was flawless, both divided opinion, and perhaps that is why both endure. Because flawless saints fade into myth, but flawed prophets continue to provoke, to challenge, to inspire. And yet, beneath the contrast, they share something profound. Both were fearless in truth, both refused to conform, both paid the price of their convictions. Gandhi faced bullets, Osho faced exile, both suffered for their fears, both suffered for their vision, and both gave humanity a choice to live with discipline or to live with celebration, to choose service or to choose authenticity. Picture it now. One side, Gandhi, frail and barefoot, spinning his wheel, fasting for peace, whispering, "Lose yourself in service, sacrificing freedom." On the other hand, Osho, radiant and laughing, driving past in a Rolls Royce saying, "Find yourself in joy, celebration is freedom." Two men, two visions, two Indias, two truths, and perhaps we need both. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to this channel.